my name is Jason JROCK Houston, and you guys are listening to Destroyer 40. My guest tonight is Paul Delis, the lead singer from a great Los Angeles-based Kiss tribute band called Gods of Thunder. How are you doing tonight, Paul?
I'm doing fantastic, Jason. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Now, obviously, we're talking tonight about the influence Kiss has had on you, and specifically the album Destroyer, being that this is the album's 40th anniversary. So I got to ask if you could start this interview off sharing with us how you first became a Kiss fan.
Oh, wow. You got to go way back. Let's see. First off, I wasn't a real Kiss fan until I walked into Music Plus in Glendora, California.
Wow, Music Plus, that's going back, but yeah, I'm there with you.
Yeah, so I'm kind of giving away my age, but hey, we're all first generation Kiss fans. All of us. Well, the vast majority of us that play in Kiss tribute bands, we're all first generation Kiss fans. We grew up with Kiss, and the posters on my wall. As a matter of fact, I'm sitting in my man cave that is decorated wall-to-wall Kiss. So, I mean, it's only fitting that I'm sitting here right now, and I'm staring at a picture of Paul, Gene, Peter, and Ace, all decked out in the Destroyer costume. So it's only fitting that we're talking about the 40th anniversary of Destroyer on this occasion. I'm staring at a picture of them.
Yeah, well, you talk to kids today, and they're like, going back to your Music Plus reference, they're like, what's a record store? What's a record? So it's nice to be talking to somebody who actually knows what I'm talking about. But do you remember what was the first song, first album that you got your hands on?
Well, like I say, going back to that Music Plus store, I walked into Glendora, in Glendora, some 43, 44 years ago, when I was just a teenager. I walked into that Music Plus store, and I saw the first album. It was on a big stand right in front as you walked in. It was
wow.
4 across, 4 tall, and they had Kiss a lot. The first Kiss album stacked up there as deep as you can get them. And when I saw that album cover, I was just like mesmerized. I was like, wow, I have got to get this album.
And well, when you got that album, when you seen that picture, I got to ask, did you have any idea that those were the guys in the band? Did you think, those just monsters? Or what did you think?
At first, initially, I had no idea what I was staring at.
Yeah.
And then as I got a little more into it, and there's all the Hit Parader magazines and Circus magazines, and as time went by, I got the album, but I started getting those magazines too to find out what Kiss was all about.
Yeah.
And come to find out that was their actual personas, the makeup and the costumes. Because at first I was just like, "What is this? Is this a gimmick or what?" But as I started getting into it, I found out that these guys, not only are they great musicians, but they put on a great show. And subsequently, I went to Kiss concerts when I was a teenager. Thanks to my parents that taking me. They wouldn't let me go on my own with friends. They're like, no, you've got to go. We've got to go with you so we can see what this is all about. We're not going to let you just go run off to the LA Forum or to Anaheim Stadium to go see these guys. We're going to go with you first to see what it's all about.
Well, that's some responsible parenting there. Now, let me ask you again. It's one thing to just see the cover of that first Kiss album, to go see the band in concert. I mean, what was that experience like for the very first time? I mean, I imagine the very first time you seen Gene Simmons, spit blood or breathe fire, that had to really blow in your mind.
Oh, it did. I mean, I didn't see them until they were on the Love Gun tour.
Oh, okay. Wow.
My parents took me to the LA Forum and saw them, and that was part of what was recorded for Kiss Alive 2. And I still have that button, Kiss Alive 2. I was there. I still have it to this day.
Wow. And
the concert was just mind blowing.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing Paul and Gene, and Paul's my favorite, of course, because that's who I am in Gods of Thunder. I'm Paul Stanley, and I love doing it. And like I say, the whole concert was just mind blowing. I walked out of there, my mind was just absolutely in overload from all the visual, aspects of the concert, from the music, and it was incredibly loud. I mean, it was definitely, my ears rang for 2 days.
And you know, share with me, Paul. So from going way back to being a Kiss fan, how long have you had your band Gods of Thunder? I've seen great photos of you guys on the internet, and I mean, you know, you are a tribute band, but you guys really look like the authentic, real deal.
Well, you know, that's a huge part of being in a Kiss tribute band. To go back to the first part of your question, Gods of Thunder has been alive and well and performing for, you know, Kiss fans all across the greater southwestern United States here for 13 years.
Huh? And you guys were one of the premier Kiss tributes. I mean, one of the very first ones out here in the LA area. There's a lot more popping up. Does that make it any harder for you?
It kind of does in a roundabout way, because, you know, when we were first starting out, just like any band, you know, you're gonna take a gig here and a gig there, and you're gonna take them for free, or you're gonna take them for you know some of the door deal or whatever. And you know, it does hurt us, us guys that have been doing this for quite some time, because the venue is gonna, especially with the venues nowadays, they don't want to pay you a guarantee.
Yeah.
Unless they already know you and what you're all about. I mean, even then, in some cases, they still don't want to pay you what you were getting before. Yeah,
well, even you know here in LA, like you're mentioning, I mean that has a lot to do with why a lot of guys are moving to Vegas, because they have, like, you're kind of talking about pay to play, which I've seen several like tribute bands even play the whiskey, and they'll give them like, oh, here's 200 tickets, give them out free to your fans, pack the place. If you can't pack the place, you don't get to play. You don't get to come back. That's kind of a deal.
Yeah, and you know, that's, you know, unfortunately, that's what the music industry, and not so much the music industry, but the performing industry with venues and clubs has become. And because of that fact, we don't do as many shows as we used to, just simply because of that fact, because they just don't want to pay the guaranteed fee, and they want you to you know, to pay to play and stuff. So therefore we do only the select gigs that we choose to do.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty. I guess you could say unfortunate, or however you look at it. But let me ask you, on that level, doing the Kiss tribute thing and wearing the makeup and everything, when you guys go to get gigs, is part of a problem where, you know, the promoter might think, oh, we can hire any Kiss tribute that, you know, they all look the same. Is that part of a problem you have?
To a certain degree. I'm not going to say that's all the problem. Because you know, because when we do a show, having been doing this for 13 years, you know, we have all the experience, and we have all the authentic costumes and everything else. A lot of these upstart bands, you know, all of our costumes are custom made. They're tailor fit to fit us, and they cost anywhere, you know. A pair of boots might cost, you know, $800.
Wow.
Or all the way up to $2,000. You know, an entire costume. For example, my Gene Simmons Destroyer costume cost him $2,600 to put together.
Wow.
And a lot of these other Kiss tribute bands, I'm not knocking.
I hear you. You're just telling your story is what you're doing.
Because you know they're out there doing the same thing that we're doing.
Yeah.
But you know, they need, you know, what they need to realize is you just can't go on, you know, online and buy one of those, you know, quote unquote costume in a bag type thing.
Yeah.
Because what it looks like pajamas.
Yeah.
Because you know, they're not tailored. They're not tailored to fit you. You know, and you know, all of our costumes are custom made for us. You know, specifically to fit our bodies. Our boots are custom made to fit our feet, and they're not. You know, they're not the buy it online type deal.
Wow. That's definitely the case,
You know, we spend a great deal of money, you know, for the authenticity. And, you know, all of our guitars and all of our amps and all of our drums have been painstakingly put together and purchased. And, you know, some part of our stuff has been actually, you know, custom made. Like I have a 1978 Gibson Flying V.
Wow.
That's fully encrusted in rhinestones, just like Paul's back in the day.
Uh-huh.
And I've got the Paul Stanley, PS10, his Ibanez Iceman, that was made in 1978. That guitar cost me $2,700.
Wow. So you really into really being as authentic as you can, and the pictures are proof of that. Like I said, a lot of the pictures I see of you guys on your website, it looks like you have a lot of stuff like from the live era. So how do you guys decide about, like, okay, we're gonna wear a Destroyer era costume, or what? Does it depend on the show you're doing, or?
Well, yeah, it depends on the show. We kind of vote on it and say, well, last show we wore the Alive. This show, why don't we wear the Destroyer?
Uh-huh.
And so that's kind of what it is. We just keep changing it up so that way, because our fan base here in Southern California is pretty broad.
Uh-huh.
We have doing this for 13 years. We've reached thousands of people in our fan base, and we don't want to have it be well, we just did a show last month. It's not going to be the same.
Yeah.
We want to change it up so there's that a different visual aspect.
Yeah. I hear you.
That way people don't get bored, and we change up the set list. We're always throwing in different songs, so it's not the same set list over and over. We don't want our fans. That's the last thing we want to do is have our valued friends and fans become bored with our show. Yeah,
well, Kiss is a band that has been doing it, as we sit here and talk, Paul, for over 40 years, like we were saying earlier. And so, the fact that they've got that many albums, that they've been doing it that long, you've got plenty of material to draw from.
Yeah, well, see, that's one thing that Gods of Thunder, is true to. We're true to the original Kiss lineup from, we do the 74 to 77, 78. Maybe you dabble a little bit into Dynasty, but anything after that, we pretty much just leave alone.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Because, we want to pay tribute to the Kiss
era you grew up on.
The original Kiss, the original four guys. I'm not taking anything away from anybody. Mark St. John, rest in peace.
Yeah. Eric
Carr, same to you, brother, rest in peace. I'm not taking anything away from those guys, from those other eras of Kiss. Kiss did a lot of great things in those years, but for Gods of Thunder, it's all about the original era when they were struggling and they were sleeping in cars on tour and stuff, and they were living off Bill of Coins, maxed out credit cards.
Yeah.
Before Kiss Alive actually put them on the map. So that's the era that we chose to pay tribute to. Do we want to do other songs? Like Lick It Up and Heaven's on Fire. Sure, those are all great songs. But when you're doing a 60 to 80 minute show, our era of Kiss is always going to prevail. Now, if we have a longer show, say 2 hours, we might dabble into a little bit of that stuff because we have done that in the past. But to us being true to Kiss, that's the era that we chose to pay tribute.
And that's kind of your fan base, so you got to stick with what you're known for doing. Now, I imagine, like a lot of guys I talked to before you did the tribute thing, you probably did the original music thing. Is that correct?
The little what?
Well, you probably played in bands doing your own original music. Am I right?
Oh yes, yeah. I dabbled in that in my teenage years and in my early 20s, but well, I was in the Army for 12 years, so I kind of got out of music for a little while.
Yeah.
I went off and did the Serve My Country thing, and I really loved serving my country, and it gave me a good base for my hard work ethic, with my employer, and also with the band, dedication to what you're doing and everything. So I appreciate all the military people out there, veterans, those that are presently serving, and those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice for their country. And so therefore, the military has always been really, really high on my chart as far as the people that I respect the most. And but going back to the question, I kind of got a little.
That's all right. And by the way, thanks for your service, and God bless you for it.
Oh, thanks, Jason. I appreciate that very much. But anyway, back to your question. So I kind of got out of music for a little while. That 12 years I was
yeah.
Because I was on deployment here and there, and there really wasn't a whole lot of time in my life, for music. But when I did get out of the military in '95, I did get back into music, and I purchased a couple of guitars. They weren't Paul Stanley guitars or anything like that. I had no idea where music was going to take me once I got out.
Yeah. And that's the interesting thing, because a lot of guys I talk to who do the tribute thing, now they tell me the interesting thing is you could have a lot more faster success doing the tribute thing if you do it right and get with the right players, because if you're doing your own original music, it might take you 6-7 years to have your first hit single, if even that. And a lot of times people come into the show, they might buy your CD at the show, but they don't know any of your songs, never heard of a band before that, coming to the show. So a lot of times you must get this too, Paul. People come to Gods of Thunder show, afterwards telling you, "Oh man, you took me back to the first time I saw Kiss, first time I heard Kiss on the radio," and that's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah, you must have read some of our reviews online.
Well, I do my homework, and I'll talk to you about it later. But I also I also have a thing where I interview people that play in tribute bands, and I've been aware of your band for a while. And then when I decided to do this Destroyer 40 special, I thought you'd be one of the perfect people to interview.
Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate that. Like I say, I'm honored for you to do this with me. I really appreciate it so much.
Yeah, well, Kiss fans, we're an interesting breed. I mean, you talk to anybody that's a Kiss fan, it's probably somebody you talk about, Kiss to for, any length of time. Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I was just saying, Kiss fans, we have we're a special breed. You can talk to somebody else who's a Kiss fan for hours about your love of Kiss.
Oh yeah, very easily. It can go on all night. You can talk about Kiss all night. The one thing about Kiss fans is, especially when you're doing a tribute, you can either impress them and blow their minds, or you can completely piss them off.
Yeah.
Because they are so critical. Because if you don't do a song just right, they will let you know about it, and they'll be the first to tell you that you guys didn't do that song exactly right. Wow.
Well, yeah, that is so dead on. That is so true. Now, let me ask you, "Gods of Thunder," great classic song off of Destroyer. Now, how did you come up? I mean, obviously it's the name of a Kiss song, but why that song that you decided to name the band after?
Well, it kind of. Well, see, when I joined the band, it wasn't called Gods of Thunder.
Oh, okay.
Armando, A.C. Simmons, Mike Gene Simmons, he had a Ace Frehley and a Peter Criss, and their Paul Stanley really wasn't working out for them.
Okay.
He wasn't doing the job that Armando
needed.
Yeah. He wasn't that front man, that gritty, get in your face kind of guy.
Yeah.
He was just kind of like laid back and just did whatever he decided to do. So he went out in pursuit of another Paul Stanley, a new Paul Stanley for his band.
Okay.
At the time, the band was called Deuce.
Oh, okay.
They had been performing for 3 or 4 years, and they were just not really happy with him. And so, to make a long story short, I put together a Paul Stanley love gun costume. I made it myself and everything else. And I went to a Kiss concert in Devore, which is in San Bernardino here in Southern California. And I was all decked out in the costume and makeup and the hair all poofed out and everything. And I saw this guy walking towards me, which was not out of the ordinary because I was all decked out in a full love gun costume.
Yeah.
Anyway, he comes up to me and he hands me this little flyer. It says, "I want you to be the next Paul Stanley in my Kiss tribute band." Wow. How amazing is that? Yeah, and so I'm like going, okay. And he goes, please tell me that you sing and play just like Paul Stanley.
Wow.
And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I do. And I had just purchased what I call my Black Beauty. It's an 81. It's kind of like it's not really a Paul Stanley PS10 model, but it was an Ibanez Iceman.
Wow.
It's a beautiful guitar, and I had just purchased it, and I was like starting to get back into playing, and I had my little practice amp. I would put on the CD and start playing along and getting my chops back. And so, make a long story short, I went down for the audition, and bam, here I was, the Paul Stanley in boots.
Wow.
But the guy said, we're going to change the name of the band because we don't want to be associated with that other guy.
Wow. That's one thing I noticed about tribute bands. A lot of times when they change a lineup, they'll just change the name of the band, which I kind of never understood why. But okay, that's kind of a. Now, Gods of Thunder. I'll give you a little trivia here. I don't know if you know this, Paul, or not, but did you know that Gods of Thunder was a song that was written by Paul Stanley, not Gene Simmons?
Yes. Oh, yeah, I know that. It was written by Paul Stanley, and it kind of was like a little bit more of a funky. It was more of a funky type of song versus the that we know and love nowadays.
Yeah, and I heard a lot of what the song became had to do with Bob Ezrin, the producer, because he added a lot of sound effects to it. Ezrin, besides the producer, he was listed as a songwriter on every single track on that album. And interestingly enough, talk about these iconic characters the guys created with each of their makeup design. Ezrin heard that I guess a demo for Gods of Thunder, and he thought to himself, this sounds a lot more like a Gene song, and who would have thunk it? But interesting enough, 40 years down the line, everybody hears Gods of Thunder, they think that's a Gene Simmons song. Oddly enough, Paul Stanley wrote it, but it fits Gene's image. It fits his, he's become known as the God of Thunder. It's become his character. It's become his persona. And that's just talking about this one song on the album that you guys chose to name your band after. And I don't know if you had a chance, but if you have the Kiss box set, there's a demo on there with Paul doing the original demo to God of Thunder with Paul singing. And it's pretty awesome thing for people to get a chance to hear.
Yeah. I've got the box set, and that's how I knew.
Yeah.
That Paul had originally recorded that as a demo track for the album.
Yeah.
And getting back to Bob Ezrin, his kids are the ones that are doing the voices in the intro on the album, and then during the pre-chorus or the prelude, the solo. Those are his kids on the album.
Yeah, I was reading that, and actually one of the kids, his name is David Ezrin. He grew up to be a pretty successful keyboard player in his own right, who played with Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow and Lita Ford.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So and now talking about Bob Ezrin, to me, when we talk Destroyer, Bob Ezrin, I really think is the secret ingredient there. Would you agree?
Yes. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Definitely so. Because Kiss, their first three studio albums, albeit they were very good studio albums, but they didn't just quite. They were missing a little piece. It's that right ingredient. That certain amount of seasoning that you put in food that makes it perfect.
Yeah. And see, that's why those first three Kiss albums, if you listen to them, are really a lot more raw. And that's why I understand when Destroyer was originally released, there was such a backlash from fans because it was so different. People thought it was too commercial sounding, it was too polished. But I think what they did on Destroyer, that really makes this album stand the test. They really stepped up the songwriting. They took it to the next level, if you know what I mean.
Well, see what Bob Ezrin had in mind. His Kiss Alive was huge.
Yeah.
And it was selling like hotcakes, and like I say, that put Kiss on the map.
Oh yeah.
So Kiss had to have a super, really great studio album to follow that up with.
Yeah.
So and that's why when they decided to go with to with Bob Ezrin, that was probably because to be honest with you, when I first heard Destroyer, I was like, oh my God, what is this? This is like a concept album.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like really not into it. The first time I heard it all the way through.
Yeah.
But then as you listen to it more and more, it was just like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
You know, what Bob Ezrin was trying to do with Kiss. And that's why it went, how many times did it go double platinum? Who knows? It was certified gold. What was it, like a month after it came out?
Yeah. And you know, again, to me, a lot of it is just that they stepped up the songwriting. And the point I'm making with that is, you know, if Kiss was truly a gimmick, but people were just going to go see the band based on the look and the makeup alone, the band would have folded, you know, a long time ago. I mean, we're talking about a band that's, you know, 40 plus years into their career. This Destroyer album we're talking about was released over 40 years ago, and still the bulk of the Kiss set list, if you go see the band live, is a lot of it's Destroyer album. These are songs that are still being played on the radio 40 years later, and a lot of it has to do with their such strong, because really, to me, any band that has any kind of success, if you're just a band that has 4 or 5 great looking guys, you're only going to be able to take that so far. You know, after 4 or 5 years, your career is going to be over. But if you got great songs that are real catchy, that you can sing along to them, you know, they got great hooks, you're going to have a pretty successful career. You know, if you can repeat that over and over.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the things, because you know, out of their first three studio albums, you know, there's not a whole lot of those songs that get played on the air.
Yeah.
If you actually think about, you know, what album gets the most radio play, you know, it's got to be Destroyer, because you know, you got Detroit Rock City, you've got God of Thunder, and you've got their People's Choice Award winner, Beth.
Yeah. Now let me ask you about Beth. This is another little bit of trivia I don't know if you're aware of, but that's not actually Ace playing on Beth. That's this guy Dick Wagner, who was a guitar player from Alice Cooper's band. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, see, that's that Ace thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's the Ace thing that you gotta love about Ace. You know, I've read a lot of articles about Ace over the years. You know, Ace, you know, he was his own guy. You know, he wasn't he didn't want to conform.
Yeah.
He wasn't a conformist. He wanted to be himself. He wanted to be in charge of writing his own solos.
Yeah.
And at the time, you know, it was a crucial time for Kiss after Alive and going into the first studio album and subsequent studio albums. So, you know, it was a crucial time, and Gene and Paul, more so Gene, and then Bob Ezrin had a huge impact on Destroyer. You know, and Ace not wanting to conform and do what he was told, he was kind of left out of some of the things on Destroyer, because he wasn't being just a lead guitarist. And
he was a lot of it. I heard he wasn't showing up for some of the sessions, and they just decided, you know, well, the show must go on. We'll get somebody else that's willing to show up and play guitar.
Yeah, there was one time I guess he missed a studio session because he was in the middle of a game of cards and a bottle of wine or something.
Yeah, I heard that same story several times over the years, but yeah. And you know, it's kind of interesting. About 5 years ago, which would have been the 35th anniversary of Destroyer, Bob Ezrin kind of re-released a remastered version and called it Destroyer Resurrected. I was curious if you had a chance to check that out. It's with the original artwork, not the classic blue cover that we're used to. Did you ever get a chance to see that?
No, I haven't yet. I kind of flashed by it when I was on YouTube the other night, but I haven't had a chance to listen to it, you know, and check it all out. Yeah,
because really the only difference, I mean, I will say it's remastered. Sonically, the drums are a lot louder, a lot more bombastic. So like if you're into the drums, that might be something you like. What I really dug was the album artwork, because it's a black cover. It looks a lot like the original, but it's not blue, it's black. And you can go online, I'm sure, later and check this out. But at the time, I understand the record company they went with the blue cover because they thought the black cover looked a little more violent, like the end of the world. I don't totally agree with that, but I do think the black cover is a little better looking, personally, for my taste. And it just, maybe it's because it's something a little different than what I'm used to. But I do think it looks a lot cooler than the album cover. But hey, Destroyer again. It's a classic. It's a classic.
Yeah, I just pulled it up.
Yeah.
And wow, that is pretty cool.
Yeah. And so to me, typically I'm not a fan of buying an album I already have. But I thought, okay, for it's a collector's item for artwork, and like I said, the drums are a little louder on it. So and then you do get a little. There's a bonus track on there, acoustic version of "Sweet Pain," and that's another thing I loved about Gene was his play on words. I mean, we don't need to get into it, but if anybody knows the song "Sweet Pain," you read between the lines, and I mean that's just a great play on words there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you first heard this Destroyer album, I mean, what was what are some of your favorite songs off of this album?
Well, to start off, the way Destroyer starts off, Detroit Rock City is by far my favorite song to play live.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Kiss song to play
so
live.
When you guys play live, do you typically, is that how you open the show, or do you close the show with Detroit Rock City?
Well, depending on the era of costumes that we're wearing. Because like I say, we like to keep it, as authentic, as close to 100% authentic as we possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
If we're doing the live era costumes, we'll open up with Deuce.
Mm-hmm.
But Detroit City will definitely be in the set list. It'll probably be down there about third or fourth in the set, depending on how many songs we're playing.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're in the Destroyer eras or Love Gun, we'll start off with Detroit Rock City, definitely.
Wow.
Because the crowd, it's a crowd favorite. Any Kiss fan who's been a Kiss fan longer than 5 minutes knows Detroit Rock City.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, Paul, another thing that I just recently, just a couple days ago, ordered off of Amazon.com, which is a pretty cool thing. It's by this band called the Piano Tribute Players. It's a piano tribute of different classic Kiss songs like Detroit Rock City, Beth. They're like instrumental versions, but piano version, and it's kind of an interesting thing I never really thought of, but that's, if you're a Kiss fan, that's something worth checking out too.
I have to check that out. Because piano is one of the greatest instruments out there. I mean, look what Elton John did with it.
Yeah.
I would love to listen to that. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I'll see if I can hook you up with a copy, but you could even go online, I think, and look it up, or it is on Amazon. Again, Kiss is one of the most covered bands, and it's kind of interesting because, again, these are instrumental versions of different songs like Beth and I Was Made for Loving. Even Look It Up. These are songs that have been played on the radio that I've been listening to for years, but it's just I thought, piano tribute to Kiss. Okay, this sounds interesting. And I'm glad I picked it up. It's something different that if I'd not been online, I might not have seen, but I thought, wow, I'm glad I picked up this CD. And again, I'm one of these old school guys like you probably, talking about Music Plus. I still love to have a physical CD in my hand. I still love to look at the artwork. And that's the whole thing about Kiss. I mean, so visual. I mean, let me ask you, when you first joined Gods of Thunder, how long did it take you, the very first time you put on the Paul makeup, how long did it take till you really got comfortable in being able to put that makeup on?
Well, once again, we got to go way back. When I was a teenager, we had our garage band, and we would do Kiss shows in full costume and makeup way back then.
Wow.
Because that's how long I've been a Kiss fan, and we would actually play some of the material, but most of it we would just put on like Kiss Alive, on the stereo, and just blare it through the PA system as loud as we possibly could. And we would actually have friends come over and watch us do that.
Wow, wow, wow.
Yes. So, I mean, that's how long I've been doing Paul Stanley. I was Paul Stanley then. I'm Paul Stanley now. And but nowadays I've got the makeup. We're perfectionists.
So when you have a gig, do you show up to the gig wearing your makeup and all in costume, or do you get dressed up like at the theater wherever you're performing?
Well, it all depends on the gig.
Uh-huh.
A lot of places they don't have dressing rooms and green rooms for the bands anymore. But usually, depending on how far we have to travel for the show, usually we'll do the makeup at home, and then we'll ride down in street clothes and everything, and we'll get changed down there. But if it's a drive, we'll get hotel rooms and stuff, and we stay in the hotels. That's where we do our makeup and put the costumes on, and then we arrive at the venue, in full costume and makeup, and just walk in and just watch everybody just go crazy.
Wow, wow.
That's one of the cool parts about it. When you first walk into that venue, and you're all done up in 7-inch platform boots, and the hair is poofed out like
You must get some looks now. Of course, we know you and me know that this God of Thunder, but you're in a tribute band. But when you're out like in costume, just walking around at different venues and stuff, do people think you're a man, or do they say, "Oh, you're Paul Stanley"? Or have you ever had anything like that?
Well, not to the extent of wow, Paul Stanley.
Yeah.
Well, they know who I'm portraying. But
Yeah.
I'm not actually Paul Stanley.
Yeah.
But, it's really cool, especially when we play all ages venues and the kids are there.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
that to me is super special.
I remember when I seen Kiss a couple years ago at Irvine Meadows when they were on the tour with Def Leppard. There was this guy just like you and me, a Kiss fan, dressed up as Gene Simmons. He was in his full Gene gear, and people knew he was just a guy standing in line. But you would not believe, because he was dressed like Gene Simmons, how many people were coming up to him wanting to have a picture taken.
Oh yeah. That's one of the cool things about being a Kiss fan and being in a Kiss tribute band, is because you get to do that and actually go out to a concert and dress up as Gene or Paul or Peter or Ace, the Fox, or and people flock to you because they're like, wow, this is cool. This is close as I'm going to get to Gene Simmons tonight.
Yeah.
I know I'm not going to get to meet him, so why not take a bunch of pictures with this guy?
Yeah, and how cool is it? How cool is it for you, Paul? Go from being a Kiss fan to actually in a band playing these songs that you grew up on.
Man, I cannot put into words, Jason. I mean, it's just absolutely the coolest thing that I could ever imagine myself doing. Because if I'd have gone back to when I was a teenager, and it's kind of funny. Let me kind of expand on that a little bit. It's kind of funny that my friends that I grew up with, and they saw me doing this when I was a teenager, and then they see me now, especially through Facebook, social media. They contact me and they're like, "How cool is that you're still actually doing what you love?" Yeah. And being the Kiss fan you are, I got to ask, like we were talking earlier about the diehard Kiss fans. Do you feel a certain level of responsibility, like when you do get up on stage performing these songs, that you really do it the way they I mean, it seems like you're really serious about what you're doing. But do you really feel that responsibility to perform these songs the way that Kiss fans expect them to be performed? Oh, absolutely. Because that's part of being in any tribute band. Be it Kiss, or be it Guns N' Roses, be it Led Zeppelin, be it 38 Special, be it Nicki Minaj. No matter what you do, if you're in a tribute band, you've got to do it right. Otherwise, don't do it. Don't make a mockery out of the band that you are paying tribute
Yeah,
to.
and even just talking to you, Paul, I can hear your love for all things Kiss, in your voice, and that's the thing. Even a guy like me who's been to several of these tribute shows, you can tell, even being in the audience, you can tell when somebody's doing it half-assed and when they're doing it out of their, doing it from the bottom of their heart, and I can tell you're one of the, like I said, you guys are one of the originators, because you've been doing it all these years. You were one of the first Kiss tributes out here in the LA area, so all the bands that came after you guys are kind of following your lead, so to speak.
Yeah, and I've seen Kiss tribute bands in Southern California. I've seen them come and I've seen them go. Some last a year, some last 6 months, some play one gig.
Yeah, it's like anything. The cream rises to the top, if you will. The ones that are doing it out of their love and from the heart, they're the ones that seem to really last.
Yeah, and that's like, because you touched on that earlier. You said, finding the right members, finding the right guys to do this with. And like I say, we've been doing this 13 years, and we've been through Ace Frehley's and Peter Chris's, just like Paul and Gene.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, it is. It's actually funny. We've been through 3 Aces and 2 Peters.
Yeah. Well, one thing I really get a kick out of, because Kiss is so larger than life, but last few years I've been hearing Gene and Paul say, "Oh yeah, someday we're going to retire from Kiss. We won't be in Kiss. We're going to find our own replacements." I mean, I don't know what I think on that, but it's just a funny thought that a band could actually have that kind of mindset.
Well, I love Gene. I've met him personally, and
wow.
We've done some things with them in the past. With Paul and Gene, A.C. Simmons. My Gene. He's worked with Gene quite a bit in the past. Not to toot any horns or anything. And we also had Bruce Kulick join us live on stage.
Wow.
And that was phenomenal. We did Deuce and Rock and Roll All Night with him, and that was back in, I think it was like 2008.
Oh wow! So you guys have you really have been around and done it. That's pretty impressive. Wow! I got to tell you, Paul, I'm really glad I had you be part of this Destroyer 40. You've really got a great story to tell. I could really talk to you all night, but I'm going to wrap this up because I know it's getting quite late where you are, and. But thanks so much for being part of this, and if you've had a good time like I have, I hope we could do this again.
Oh yeah, because you touched on it and you mentioned it earlier. I could talk Kiss all night.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, you've given a really great interview. So I look forward to people getting a chance to hear your story because it's you've really touched on a lot of great things, and that's the interesting thing in interviewing people for Destroyer 40. Each guy, as much as they love Kiss, they got their own unique story, and that's a beautiful part about being a Kiss fan to me. Everybody has got their own story of how they became a Kiss fan. So thanks so much, Paul, and I promise I'll be in touch and let you know when this gets posted. You do take care, and I'd love to talk to you again down the line.
Hey, 2 more things I want to say, and I want this to be included in the interview.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay. Kiss is by far a standard-setting band. They have never ever cut corners. They've raised the glass ceiling, and and they're the only ones that can shatter it. These guys have been doing this for so many years. They're total pros. I love Paul, Gene, Peter, and Ace, and all the guys that have come into Kiss, into their lineup over the years. And I want to thank all the Kiss fans out there for supporting Kiss throughout all these years and keeping them the rock and roll icons that they are. And there's one song off of Destroyer that I love to do.
What's that?
Detroit Rock City. That's Flaming Youth.
Oh, I love that. Oh, wow. Well, Paul...
I just want to say, if other Kiss tribute bands out there are listening to me and they're going to read this interview, please do Flaming Youth, because it's a great song. Gods of Thunder, we do it all the time because it's an awesome song. Listen to the lyrics, listen to the words, and if you were a teenager going through all those things that Paul Stanley wrote about. My parents think I'm crazy.
And they hate the things we do.
Yeah, they hate the things. I love that song, and I love playing it live, and the crowd absolutely goes ballistic. If you're not doing that song, you're missing out on a great song off of Destroyer.
Well, let me just say, once again, you guys have been listening to Destroyer 40, and our special guest tonight has been Paul Delis, the lead singer from the Los Angeles-based Kiss tribute band Gods of Thunder. One day I'm going to have to check out the band live when you guys do a show again. So I'll definitely be in touch with you, Paul. And thanks so much for being part of Destroyer 40. Take care of yourself now.
Okay, Jason, thanks so much for calling. I'm sorry I got a little long-winded about a certain thing.
No, I actually, like I said, I talked to you. Those are some of the best interviews, and believe me, I think when people get a chance to hear this interview, they're going to really enjoy it.
Okay, Jason, thanks for calling, and if you ever need to talk to me in the future, just let me know, and I'm here for you, my friend.
I will do that. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care, brother. Bye. Bye-bye.